let's talk about a crime that happened back in 1982. It absolutely terrified the entire country, and the weapon was something nobody ever saw coming: a bottle of Tylenol. This is the chilling, unsolved story of the Tylenol murders, a case that literally forced America to change the way it lives. And that quote really nails it. I mean, just imagine, you're going about your day, everything feels totally normal. And then, suddenly, there's this invisible threat sweeping through the city. That feeling of safety you just take for granted, well, overnight, it was just gone. So our story kicks off right here in Chicago. A string of deaths, all of them sudden and seemingly random. There was no warning, no obvious link between the people who died, just this awful wave of tragedy that had everyone, especially the police, completely stumped. When investigators finally found a connection, it was something you'd never, ever expect: Tylenol. I mean, it was in millions of medicine cabinets then, it's in millions of them now. The idea that this incredibly trusted product was the link, it was almost unbelievable. But it was the one, single, horrifying thread connecting every single death. Seven people. These were healthy people who took a Tylenol for, a headache or some minor pain, and within hours, they just collapsed and died. It's a stark number, but it represents the real human cost of this terror. Okay, so once they knew Tylenol was involved, the next question was, how? Investigators were racing against the clock, and what they found next is what turned this local tragedy into a full-blown national nightmare. Cyanide. This wasn't some kind of manufacturing error or a bad batch. No, this was a deadly poison deliberately put inside the actual Tylenol capsules. It's incredibly fast-acting, which explains why the victims died so quickly. And this was the million-dollar question, right? The one that changed everything. If the poison didn't come from the factory, then how on earth did it end up in bottles on store shelves for anyone to buy? The answer would completely change the focus of the investigation. So you've got these two possibilities, and they are worlds apart. Was this some kind of catastrophic mistake at the Johnson & Johnson factory? Or was it something so much more sinister, a deliberate, malicious act? And the reality of it was just bone-chilling. Some person had gone into stores, bought the Tylenol, took it home, opened up the capsules, filled them with cyanide, and then put them back in the bottles and returned them to the shelves. It was an act of pure, random terrorism. Once the public found out how the poison got in there, the fear it exploded. What started out as a local crisis in Chicago very quickly became a national emergency. Because, if it could happen there, it could happen anywhere. The public reaction was immediate and it was huge. Parents were, of course, terrified, checking their medicine cabinets. And in a move that's now famous in the business world, Johnson & Johnson recalled 31 million bottles of Tylenol. It cost them over $100 million, but it was the right call. The brand everyone trusted was just gone from store shelves almost instantly. So as the country is reeling, the FBI and police launch one of the biggest manhunts in American history. And pretty soon, they zeroed in on one man. But this is where the story takes a really, really strange turn. This is the question that's haunted this case for decades. The police had their theories, they had their leads, and they had one prime suspect that they went after relentlessly. The face of the investigation became this man, James William Lewis. Now, how did he get on the FBI's radar? Well, he sent an extortion letter to Johnson & Johnson demanding $1 million to stop the killing. As you can imagine, that put him right at the top of their list. But here's the twist, and it's a major one. Lewis was investigated for all 7 murders, but the authorities could never ever directly link him to the actual poisonings. They had him dead to rights on the extortion letter, but there was no proof he was the one who actually tampered with the bottles. So he was convicted and went to prison for over a decade, but only for extortion. And that's really the bottom line here. Despite this massive investigation, despite having a prime suspect, the person who actually put cyanide in those capsules and put them back on store shelves for anyone to buy was never caught. The case is still, to this day, officially unsolved. But just because it's unsolved doesn't mean it just faded away. Oh no. This one crime left a permanent scar on the country, and it fundamentally changed the way we all buy and consume products every single day.
You know, the most visible legacy of the Tylenol murders is something you and I see every day, and probably don't even think about. Before 1982, you could just grab a bottle of pills and twist the cap right off. But after this tragedy, the entire industry was forced to change. Tamper-proof packaging, the foil seals you have to peel back, the little plastic rings, all of that became the standard, all because of this one horrible crime.
It's a mystery that remains unsolved. A ghost in the aisles of our pharmacies that literally changed the world. And the most chilling thought of all is that the person responsible, they just blended right back into the crowd. They could have been absolutely anyone.